There were a lot of great matchups last week for the first weekend of the college football season. Week 2 doesn't have as many great matchups, but there are definitely a good number to keep an eye on. Here are the 10 best games for week 2 of the college football season. Before we get to today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to the channel. If you love college football content, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, drop a comment down below and let me know which game you're looking forward to the most. It helps the algorithm of the video and helps share it with more college football fans. Plus, I'd love to see which games you guys are most excited to see. If there are any other college football videos you'd like to see in the coming weeks, drop a comment down below and it very well could turn into my next video. We're going to kick off our list with the best game of the weekend by far, as Oregon is going to travel and take on Ohio State. These two teams were supposed to play at Autzen Stadium last year, but unfortunately, COVID ruined that for all of us. Still, we get the matchup this season, and it's bound to be a great one. This will be the 10th time these two teams have met, with Ohio State winning the previous 9. This will be the first matchup, though, in the regular season since 1987, as these two teams played in the national championship back in 2015 and then in the Rose Bowl in 2010. Ohio State is coming off a competitive and thrilling win on the road at Minnesota, where Oregon is coming off a close victory at home against Fresno State. This game has major playoff implications for both of these teams. Whoever wins will have a massive resume booster win, and whoever loses will likely take a big step back in the playoff hunt. Up next will be a great rivalry game, Iowa and Iowa State. This rivalry is pretty one-sided, as Iowa leads the all-time series 45-19, including winning the last 5 in a row. However, the last 3 matchups have been pretty close. This year might be different though, as this is the best Iowa State has ever been. In the history of this rivalry, the Cyclones have been ranked only once. They were number 20 all the way back in 1978. So this is the first matchup where both of these teams are ever ranked. Luckily for Iowa State, they get this game at home this year. Their stadium's going to be rocking, and this very well might be the biggest game in the history of this rivalry. The Cyclones have playoff aspirations, and so do the Hawkeyes. The whole state of Iowa might be at this game, and the whole country will definitely have their eyes on it as well. We'll have a rematch of a former Big 12 battle. Both of these teams are no longer in the conference, but this is sure to be a great one. Texas A&M will travel to Denver and take on Colorado at Mile High Stadium. The Buffaloes lead the all-time series 6-3, with the last matchup coming all the way back in 2009. Both of these teams are going in different directions. The Aggies are looking to continue their playoff push, as Colorado is still looking to get the program back on track after some disappointing seasons. Now, I'm not saying expect Colorado to win, but definitely keep your eye on them to make this one close. The Buffs are 7-3 over their last 10 games, going back to 2019. Jarek Broussard is one of the most underrated running backs in the entire country, and he's a guy who could potentially cause problems for the Aggies defense. Haynes King made his first start last week for A&M and threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, but also had 3 interceptions against Kent State. Again, I expect Texas A&M to win this one, but don't be shocked if Colorado is making this one interesting in the second half. Another game that we didn't get to see last year was Michigan at Washington, but luckily we get it this year. Unfortunately for Washington, this one has to be on the road at Michigan. The Wolverines own the all-time season series 7-5, but the last 3 matchups have been decided by less than 7 points, with the Huskies losing the last matchup at Michigan by 2 points. Both these teams are coming off very different Week 1 results. The Wolverines had a very convincing win over Western Michigan, where the Huskies lost a shocker at home to Montana. This game can really swing the season for both of these teams. If Michigan wins, they're 2-0, and all of a sudden they have momentum moving forward. If Washington loses, they're going to be 0-2 with a very difficult Pac-12 slate later in the year. This is going to be a nighttime game under the lights at Michigan, which in my opinion always adds a little more excitement to the games. Up next, we have a Big 12 SEC matchup, as Texas is going to travel on the road to Arkansas. This is a rivalry that goes all the way back to 1906. Texas leads the all-time series 53-22. These teams haven't met since 2014, and it's only the 5th time since 1991. The Longhorns are coming off a win over number 23 Louisiana. It was a great debut for Steve Sarkisian, and the offense looked really good with Hudson Card and Bijan Robinson. Arkansas, they're coming off a 21-point victory over Rice. I'm not exactly sure what we can expect in this game, but seeing 2 old rivals square off again is going to be a fun time. Before I get to my next 5 games, if you could give this video a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps share the video with more college football fans, and it only takes a second to do. We have the Holy War, which is one of my favorite rivalry names in all of college football. BYU hosts Utah this year, and this is going to be a good one yet again between the two schools. The Utes have a pretty strong hold over the all-time series, as they've won 59, lost 31, and have tied 4 times. but they've won the last 9 straight. Utah is coming off a win over Weber State. Charlie Brewer was solid and threw for 250 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. BYU is coming off a win against Arizona, but maybe it was a little too close for comfort. Jaren Hall is the new quarterback for the Cougars. He's going to have a tough task in replacing Zach Wilson in 2021. Regardless of how good these teams are or how bad these teams are, the Holy War is always a great game and always competitive, and I'd expect the exact same this season. We have a rematch of the greatest game of all time. Yes, the Cheez-It Bowl. A few years back, TCU defeated Cal 10-7, and now these teams will face each other once more. If I were to bet, I'd say there's going to be a lot more points this time around. TCU is coming off a 42-point victory, and Cal is coming off a close loss to Nevada. I think both these teams could be sleepers in their respective conferences this season, so it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. Miami looks to bounce back after their blowout loss to Alabama. Unfortunately, they don't have quite a cupcake opponent as they're going to face Appalachian State. This will be the second ever meeting between the two teams as they face each other back in 2016. App State is coming off a 2-touchdown win over East Carolina. Chase Bryce, he's now the quarterback for Appalachian State after spending time at Duke and Clemson. He had a solid debut last week as he threw for 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Mountaineers had 2 different players rush for over 100 yards last week, so this rushing attack could potentially do some damage against the Hurricanes. For Miami, well, they can really only go up from here. De'Ara King and the offense have a chance to actually do something this week, and they can get their season right back on track. Up next is an SEC matchup that low-key could be pretty exciting. Missouri is going to travel to Kentucky, and these are going to be 2 pretty fun teams in the SEC this season. The Tigers are coming off a win over Central Michigan, and Kentucky's coming off a win against UL Monroe. These aren't necessarily 2 teams that are going to be competing for an SEC title in 2021, but I think these are 2 teams that definitely can put some other teams on upset watch throughout the rest of the season. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair between 2 exciting and competitive teams. Wrapping up this list is a matchup we haven't seen since 1983, and one we've seen only twice: Pittsburgh and Tennessee. The Panthers have won both games in the series and will go for their 3rd. Both teams are coming off fairly easy wins as Pitt took down UMass by 44 and Tennessee beat Bowling Green by 32. Kenny Pickett threw for nearly 300 yards with 2 touchdowns, while Joe Milton was underwhelming, completing 11 of 23 passes for 140 yards. These aren't going to be 2 teams competing for the conference championship, but it's definitely an intriguing matchup between 2 schools who could potentially win a lot of games in 2021. Well, those are the 10 games I'm looking forward to the most this weekend. Drop a comment down below and let me know which game you're most excited for. Was there a game on here that I didn't include? Let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. I'll be posting college football videos all season long, so if you're a college football fan, then this is definitely the place for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.